A short bit of time passed before we now focus on the stranded Arid Ruin, Lord Kazak. Kazak was a pawn in a much larger scheme involving the recently crowned Lord of Outland, Illidan, and the demon lord Kil'jaeden. Illidan, for all his faults, was one of the few who understood the true scope and scale of the problem the Legion posed, and was making strides to permanently deal with it. As part of this, he raided the Legion stronghold world of Nathraza, stole a seal containing the location of Argus, and dealt incredible damage to the planet via carefully controlled portal disturbance. This was the largest single blow the Legion had been dealt in 10,000 years, and Kil'jaeden responded accordingly. Gifting Kazak with an artifact, the long-dormant dark portal was reopened and Kazak journeyed through, quickly taking control of the demonic forces on the other side and staging an invasion of Azeroth. This is a paltry affair, mere thousands of demons spilling into a tight bottleneck, but it accomplished his lord's aim. The Azerothian forces believed this a fully renewed Legion invasion and responded in kind, sending their best and their brightest through the portal to invade Outland. Kil'jaeden's goal was to manipulate events from the sidelines, to portray Illidan as the leader of this invasion, and thus steer his enemies into one another to finish each other off for him. The Horde and Alliance forces fought together as they charged into the Hellfire Peninsula, spearheaded by Commander Duran and Lieutenant General Orion. On the other side, they found a surprise waiting for them. Alliance forces wavering, at Honor Hold. You see, some years prior, at the close of the Second War, an Alliance expeditionary force known as the Sons of Lothar, which was led by Daneth Trollbane, Kurdran Wildhammer, General Terrellian, Illyria Windrunner, and the Mage Khadgar, had charged through in pursuit of Ner'zhul, falsely believing Ner'zhul had been planning a renewed Orcish invasion of Azeroth. That's just a theme today, isn't it? Ner'zhul's crazed gambit threatened Azeroth as well, thanks to the connection of the Dark Portal, and as such, the Sons of Lothar stayed behind to close the portal permanently. Somehow, the expeditionary forces had survived in the harsh and unforgiving Outland. We're overjoyed, both to see fellows and for a chance to finally return home after 19 long years in the hellish wastes. Well, all but one. The Alliance forces were not the only ones eager to return home. The Horde threw everything it had into Outland. The Orcs sought to reconnect with their shattered home, and the Blood Elves hoped to find a new one. These pilgrimages drew in all types of adventures, which, well, turned out to be fortuitous for everyone involved because, good lord, did the Hellfire Peninsula have problems. One of Prince Kael'thas's primary agents, Pethelion the Calculator, was responsible for crafting and dropping massive mana-charged crystals onto the rocky terrain. The exact goal of this is beyond sane minds, but it did seem to aid in recruiting massive controllable colossi for the prince's forces. Unfortunately for these experiments, one of the groups that had journeyed into Outland was the Cenarian Circle. In fact, much of the military might of the Circle was concentrated in Outland, resulting in a splinter group called the Cenarian Expedition. While there are some political entanglements here, which would impact things for years to come, the bottom line is the Cenarian Expedition's primary goal was just to heal the land, regardless of political consideration and conflict. The expedition directed resources and adventurers towards resolving the crystalline problem, removing the immediacy of the threat, though Pethelion swore revenge on the Druids. Draenei were found too, though of different varieties than expected. The Broken, or Krokul in Dranish, are Draenei who were mutated and warped by the devastation that was wrought in Outland, and overexposure to the fell energies of the Nether. Some of these Broken reconnected with the recently arrived Draenei brethren at the Temple of Tel'Hamat, and successfully liberated Broken slaves who were being forced to excavate the ruins of Shannara in hopes of finding an ancient crystal. The Arakoa were nesting within Hellfire as well, in the Haleshi Gorge, and causing as many issues for the locals as they could. These once proud winged people had lost their ability of flight and their sanity, and as such, what was left usually clung to dark areas and what kinship a tribe could offer. Meanwhile, some of the native orcs were maintaining a small settlement in one of the higher hills of the Hellfire Peninsula. Calling themselves Maghar, or Uncorrupted in Orcish, they survived by strength, cunning, and luck. They remained hidden and alone until they happened across a fell orc assassin, Kroon Spinebreaker. easily killing the Fel Orc. Their handiwork was discovered by the Horde and subsequently led to first contact between their peoples and the swift promise of further cooperation down the road. They were also directed towards the Maghar central settlements, southwest in the lands of Nagrand. The mere presence of the Fel Orc, however, was indicative of another issue: the Fel Horde. The Annihilan Magtheridon had enslaved many surviving orcs, and retained them as personal shock troops, and when Illidan claimed lordship over Outland, he inherited these foot soldiers, organizing them into a new conquering body, the Fel Horde. Illidan strategically positioned the orcs across Outland to serve as guardians and evokers of his will. The Fel Horde maintained a stronghold in Zethgor, which had to be dealt with, along with continuously harassing both Horde and Alliance forces along the horribly named Path of Glory. But the Fel Horde's greatest point of strength was in the wrecked ruins of the Hellfire Citadel. Horde and Alliance forces alike besieged and assaulted the Citadel, seeking to crack the core of Fel Horde power. Watchkeeper Gargulmar is the first point of defense. Reviled amongst his fellows, he is known to eat the hearts of those he catches. The demon lord Omar the Unscarred, who was a former disciple of Hakar, not that one, serves as Illidan's primary envoy to the Citadel. Vazradin the Herald is the chief enforcer of the Fel Horde outside Citadel walls, serving as representative from the loyal Dragonmaw clan atop his enslaved steed, the Netherdrake Nazan. This is the Azerothian forces' first sightings of a nether dragon, and it will not be the last. Having secured the ramparts, the Azerothian forces push forwards into the Shattered Halls, military headquarters of the Fel Horde. Nethacurse, a former shaman of the Blood Moon clan, delights in the Fel energies he now commands and deliberately tortures lesser orcs, to test them, of course. Those who survive get to train under Bloodguard Porung, who earned his mark in history by storming an enclave of barricaded Draenei paladins during the 8 Years' Purge, and slaughtering them all. Further in, they find the formidable bodyguard, Warbringer Omarog, one of the rare two-headed ogres who, like many of their kin, simply cannot seem to coordinate between the two minds. And in the Citadel's throne room is Kargath Bladefist, appointed war chief of the Fel Horde. Kargath was never a good orc, despite stories to the contrary, and years of drinking Magtheridon's blood had done him no favors. Having replaced both hands with his preferred slabs of jagged metal, the cruel orc is cut down. With the military wings smashed, the Azerothians descend deeper into the Blood Furnace, the center of the Hellfire Citadel. Inside they find the Maker, a demon tasked with accelerating demonic corruption through the Fel Horde, Brogok, an observer demon who ensures the loyalty of orc and demon alike, and Keladon the Breaker, one of the Fel Horde's most skilled warlocks tasked with keeping their charge in check, the mighty Magtheridon. Thought slain, now enslaved, Magtheridon is regularly drained of his Fel blood to fuel both the Fel Horde and other operations as needed. This could not stand. Ignoring the obvious threat of being such as Magtheridon could pose in his own right, his potential as further fuel for weapons of the enemy was unacceptable. Heroes and soldiers alike invaded the deepest depths of the Hellfire Citadel to permanently end the Annihilan threat. Once released from his surviving captors, Magtheridon raged, but was unable to overcome and was put down. After this, the Fel Horde would never again be a major player on the board. With new outposts claimed and new territories scouted, the Draenei, Orcs, and Blood Elves stood poised to continue further into Outland.